Dropping the kids off this morning. It's crazy Georgia weather. Yeah, it's crazy. All right. What's that, David Mack? David Mack. Love this cover. Zoot suit. Be sure to check out my latest video, Fred Bueller's Day Off, in hardcovers number 3. All right, let's get into it. What's up, comic book peeps? Welcome to another episode of Direct Edition. The channel is Fred Hall Direct Edition, and today we're going to be kicking it old school. But before we kick it old school, let's get into our sponsor. And this episode of Direct Edition is brought to you by my fake Darth Maul from China. Alrighty, you know how we do it on this channel. Let's get into some comics. Okay, so lately I've been on an old school kick, and that's where you get your background from. And I think I have enough old schools to keep you entertained for a while. So you know how we do on this channel. Let's go ahead and get into your old school haul. So the first old school book that I was blessed to pick up is Vision and Scarlet Witch number 1. This is from, let's look at the year. This is from 1982, so not only was I blessed to pick up number 1, but I was blessed to pick up number 2, and I didn't stop there. I was blessed to pick up number 3, and I was also blessed to pick up 2 number 4s. So that's Vision and Scarlet Witch, like 1 through 4. So that's a pretty cool run, man. And a very good throwback, old school, crusty, dusty. So let's get into some more old school comics. So another old school that I was blessed to pick up is Prime number 1. This is Ultraverse. This is not quite old, but it's from 1993, so it's pretty old. This is, like I said, it's a number 1, and I actually picked this up for 50 cents. So I'm glad to go ahead and put this Prime number 1 in my collection. Because, you know, if you're a student of the game back in 1990, around the comic book collapse, this was a pretty big deal. So Prime number 1, very cool. So while we're in 1993, I might as well take you back to 1992. This is Batman Adventures number 1. I thought it'd be pretty cool to have this in my collection, even though I don't have the first Harley Quinn, which is in this run. I'm definitely wanting to pick up my Batman Adventures because I got number 1. So not only did I get number 1, but I got number 2, which is an old school crusty dusty. Like I said, this is from 1993, so this is November 1990. No. Yeah. No, it's November 1992. So 1992, number 2 with Catwoman. Definitely had to pick up this number 3 with a cool Joker cover. So very cool. December 1992. And the last one I picked up is number 4 from 1993. This is January 1993. So the year had just changed. And I remember watching all these Batman Adventure cartoons and being like, dang, these things are so cool and so on point. Paul Dini, I think that's his name, who actually was in charge of the show. He actually did a hell of a good job, especially Luke Skywalker being the voice of the Joker. I just was really a fan of the Batman adventures, and I definitely can't wait till I run across the Harley Quinn's first appearance in comics, which is actually in these Batman Adventures runs. So definitely cool, man. Definitely some old school crusty dusties. Very cool. So that's one, two, three, and four, and there you have it. And so while we're kicking it old school, I definitely was glad to pick up this Doctor Strange number 72, 1985. He has a beard on the front cover. And I definitely need some more Doctor Strange in my collection. And my holy grail for the Doctor Strange is the book that they actually got sued for, was when they actually took the picture of a famous singer and put her on the front cover of Doctor Strange. So if you're not familiar with that cover, go ahead and look it up. But I'm definitely looking for that. That is my holy grail of Doctor Strange books. When I find it, I definitely will be happy. And yeah, there you have it. So Doctor Strange number 72, 1985. And it's in immaculate condition. So I definitely love to get some old school Green Lanterns. And this is Tales of the Green Lantern Corps, 1981 newsstand. Very cool cover, man. When I actually bought it home and actually got it out the package, so I noticed that the the cover didn't wrap around all the way in the back, but I know that CGC really doesn't take off points for that. But this is a very cool book. I'm an extreme collector. I don't want any old school with ticks in it, and this actually doesn't have any ticks, and it's all the way from 1981, and I wasn't even born yet. Well, I was born, but I was barely. Basically, I was born in 1980, so this is a pretty old school book. Like I said, I just love my old school crusty dusty. So very cool. And yes, I'm an 80s baby. So this is Adventure Comics featuring Supergirl. This is from 1972, and I definitely wasn't born then. Um, I was glad to find this book for $5 because I know, if I'd have went out of state in one of the areas where, it's not a lot of old school crusty dusties, they probably would have charged me about $15 for this book. So I was glad to get it for $5, and I'm definitely trying to get more old school books in my collection that's in immaculate condition. And this is one of the books that's in immaculate condition because I was actually looking for, when I was looking through the Adventure Comics, which Second and Charles barely has, old school comics like that. This was one of the better conditions. Even though I could have gotten an earlier comic, I was like, hey, I'm looking for one without spine ticks, and this one didn't have any spine ticks, so this is the one that I bought for $5, and I'm glad to have it in my collection because it actually predates me. So very cool. So what she say? Stop, Supergirl. Don't save us. We want to die. And I think this comic is called "All Men Are But Slaves." Supergirl. So very cool, man. It's browning a little bit, but hey, it's still in immaculate condition. And here's a real cool, interesting old school crusty dusty. This is Crisis on Infinite Earths number 9. Second of Charles actually had like about, shoot, let's say 7 of these. So I looked through all 7 newsstand and direct sales, and this is the one that I found that was in immaculate shape. So this is Crisis on Infinite Earths, 19, 1985, with all your DC villains on the front cover. You see the Joker, you see Cheetah, you see Hugo Strange, Captain Cole. Like, it's just all of them. And I was very glad to have this in my collection. You see Lex Luthor in the middle, Sinestro. Man, it doesn't get more cooler than that. And I only bought this for $1. So there you have it. I swear this Detective Comics got to be like one of my favorite covers, man. This Detective Comics is so rad. Very cool. So let's look at some cool. I'm sorry, I got a little tongue tied. So let's look at some cool Spider Woman. And I actually have a couple of Spider Womans. I actually have number one, but it's on my wall back in the dungeon. But this is Spider Woman number 12. This is from March. I'm not sure what year it is because I've already sealed it up. You know, I didn't even read it. I just sealed it up. But this is Spider Woman, and that's the Brothers Grimm. So that's number 13. Well, I'm sorry. That's actually number 12. Cool butt cover. Number 12. Number 14. Very cool cover. I love Jessica Drew. Number 15 with the shroud. Excuse, the glare from the comic books, but what I do is I bag them twice in order to seal them very good, and I actually seal off the corner. So that's number 15 with the shroud. And the next one would be number 16. Very cool. Number 19, guest starring Werewolf by Night. Very cool. The Enforcer Strikes. And I also got Spider Woman number 2 from 1993. Direct edition. That's not Jessica Drew. That's the different Spider Woman that was in Avengers West Coast. So very cool, man. I love Spider Woman, no matter who is Spider Woman. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like Black Widow. A lot of people don't know that it's another Black Widow that actually has blonde hair, who is very cool too. So definitely love my Spider Womans, and I definitely love my two different Black Widows. All right, kicking it old school. And so, speaking of the West Coast Avengers and the Shroud, I got West Coast Avengers number one and a 4-part limited series. And this is from 1984. So, it's an old school crusty dusty. So, not only did I get number one, but we also have number two. We also have number three. Looks like they're in a whirlwind. And lastly, we have number four. Very cool West Avengers, man. Definitely glad to have all four in my collection. And, West Coast Avengers, I'm the one that's sitting by, the comic book price guide saying that one day everybody's going to realize how cool the West Avengers are. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I got one more. Regular old West Coast Avengers number 2, 1985. So very cool, man. Definitely glad to have these West Coast Avengers in my collection, and I feel like I'm becoming an all around complete collector because I'm venturing off into comics that I never thought that I would even collect or even look at. So very cool. So we also got Tales of the Teen Titans number 46 from 1984. Very cool cover. And we also have Tales of the Legions of Superheroes, number 322, 1985. Very cool, old school. Definitely love it. We also have Wolverine number 103 from July 1996. This is not quite an old school crusty dusty, but this is the time where I kind of fell out with comics because they had started getting real wacky and they actually turned Wolverine very feral. And I was surprised to find out that Wolverine and Elektra actually had a daughter in an alternate universe, and her name is Wild Thing. So very cool, man. Definitely love this old school Wolverine. So not only did I pick up Wolverine 103, But I also picked up another copy of 107 because I wasn't sure if I had it in my collection, but definitely wanted to make sure that I had it in my collection because I'm a Wolverine completionist, which means that I want everything Wolverine, I want everything Harley Quinn, and I definitely want everything Wonder Woman. So very cool, man. Real nice books. And so we're at the point of the video where you ask me, hey, Fred Hall, Direct Edition, what are you reading right now? And this is what I'm reading right now. This is the Wolverine Saga. This is from 1989. So it is an old school crusty dusty. It's a newsstand, but it's actually a trade paperback. And if you notice the artwork on the front cover, that is none other than Rob Liefeld. So I thought it was very cool. It has Rob Liefeld on the front cover, and it has a lot of different Wolverine artists on the inside, and it basically takes you through the span of his comic book career. I bet basically. So this is book one, the beginnings. Here's a cool look at the front of the book, 1989, and here's a cool look at the back of the book, which you cannot beat. I mean, it's a very cool Liefeld book, and it's actually giving me a lot of information on Wolverine. Most of the information I already knew, but every once in a while they throw me in something that I didn't know. So there you have it. Okay, with that being said, let's get into your main events. You ready? Because your main events is gonna be old school crusty dusties. You ready? All right, let's get into it. Okay, your first main event is gonna be your old school crusty dusty Amazing Spider-Man 1983. This is 245. It's when Spider-Man we actually found out who the Hobgoblin was. So it's a very cool book, very cool cover. When I bought this from Dave's, it actually came in a Mylar. It was half off of cover price, or half off of the price that was on there. So $10 was on there. So I actually got this for $5. You know, if I could have found another one, I actually would have bought doubles. So this is a very cool main event, man. Glad to have this in my collection. And I think I first saw this comic book from the comic cards back in the days from like 1991, the Marvel comic cards, the trader cards. So definitely when I saw this, I automatically knew what it was, and definitely had to have this in my collection. So that is a very cool main event. And there you have it. Newsstand too. Okay, with these two books, are you ready for your main event? Your main event? Because I've been looking for this book for a long time. You ready? Here we go. And last but not least, here's your main event. Emerald Twilight Green Lantern number 49, 1994. Not quite old school crusty dusty, but definitely is an old school crusty dusty. And man, when I was flipping through the Green Lantern section in Second and Charles, and I actually saw the top of this book, I had to stop for a minute and I had to take it all in. Because if you've been watching the channel from the beginning, you know that this is a book that I've been after for a very, very long time. I just didn't want to go to eBay and pay 15, 20, $30 for it. And guess how much I found in Second and Charles for? $3. $3. I'm saying it in my patois, which is the way Jamaicans speak. $3, man. I actually, when I found this, I knew that my comic book collection was doing a full circle, and I'm finally becoming a complete collector because this is one of my holy grails, and I'm definitely glad to have this in my collection because I bought the other two books that's on the side of it in anticipation for me actually finding this book one day, but I thought I'd end up having to pay like $30 for it, but I found it for $3. So I'm very happy. Can't you tell? All right. And so, once again, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Direct Edition. And I'd like to thank you all for kicking it old school with me. Like, subscribe, and share. And remember, words of wisdom. Focus on the ones that show you love and the ones that don't show you love. Hey, we're going to keep on rolling without them. The channel is Fred Hall Direct Edition. And you guys and girls be safe out there. And I will catch you peoples later. Peace.